This video is sponsored by Squarespace. More on them later in the video. On today's episode of Watch Jay Go, we are back with my 1996 Solectria Force, the electric Geo Metro, and today we're gonna try to fix the other major drivability problem this thing has. It doesn't drive straight. What is going on, guys? I am Watch Jay Go, and like I said, today we are here with the Solectria Force. All the wheels are finally painted and back on. They look much, much better. The hubcaps, I think, will be actually finished today. So the body shop is wrapping those up right now. But first, we have to fix a different problem. And the wheels are currently straight, and that's where the steering wheel sits. I think this thing has bad tie rod ends. If nothing else, it's just out of alignment. So we're gonna head on over to the Car Ninjas, put this thing on the alignment rack in a snowstorm, and try to figure out what's going on with it. I do have new tie rod ends because I assume that they need replaced anyway. It's very old. It has 50,000 miles on it, and it's very old. So let's go do some work on this thing, and possibly, it looks like that back wheel there, it looks like it's tilted in a little bit like that. If you guys can see it from that angle, I don't know if you can, but we're gonna try to fix that too. So that's our to-do list for today. Get this thing to drive straight again. And then there's not too much left to do on the electric Metro. And I'm excited about that. First things first, off to O'Reilly's to pick up our parts. Let's go. Hey, it only takes about 1 amp hour to make it to O'Reilly's. What a win. You'll never get me. Tie rod ends acquired. Thanks, guys.
Hey, we'll see you later.
Yep. Let's get over to Johnny's, get these things on the car. We've got the Solectria up on the alignment rack now. Targets are installed, and we have initial measurements, and you guys are gonna love seeing the initial measurements because they are just as bad as we all expected. So here is what we're working with on the Hunter. We have -6 degrees of camber on one wheel. The toe isn't nearly as bad as I thought. I think we need to get this thing to self-center a little bit more on the road, because you have to work incredibly hard to make this thing center. Now on the back we have -1.34 degrees of toe, which is actually quite a bit, and I think I know what's going on with that already. It's not terrible over here, but we can adjust it just a hair. And let's flip through all the other measurements. You can just see the different views. This helps you get everything adjusted properly. So yeah, the wheels are literally steering towards each other as you drive down the road right now, which would show as tire scrub on a lot of cars, but on this, since it has bicycle tires on it, it's hard to even see the wear. These tires are very round and very, very old, and honestly do need to be replaced at some point. But let's take a quick look at those tires. So there's the passenger front. You can see it's got tons of tread left, but it just doesn't look amazing. It does have a little bit of scrub in there. Here's driver front. We'll come around where we can get a little bit closer. You guys can see that still the same story, plenty of tread, but it doesn't look great. Here in the back, way more tread, way more tread. But here is what's probably the issue with this car. Let's head up underneath real quick and take a look. So there is a toe adjustment here. It has some eccentric bolts here, but this control arm is perfectly straight on this side, and over here it is very bent, like either a chain went around that or it got hooked on something while it was being driven. I'm gonna go ahead and pop this whole arm off and try to flatten that back out so it's kind of within spec, and that should bring that wheel out like that where it belongs. So let's go ahead and try to get all this sorted out. And while I'm under there, I will install our new tie rod ends from O'Reilly's. They are Precision ES3043RL. Same tie rod end on both sides. It looks like a relatively easy job there, and you can see a bunch of grease like that tie rod end is blown out. We'll get back to the alignment on the Solectria here in just a moment, but first I need to take a second to tell you about the sponsor of today's video, Squarespace. Squarespace gives people a powerful and beautiful online platform you can use to create your website. You can connect with your audience and generate revenue through gated, members-only content. You can use it to manage your members, send emails, and see audience-related insights all in one easy-to-use platform. Squarespace has powerful blogging tools, extensions, and you can even feature posts from your social media profiles right on your website. So head on over to Squarespace for your free trial, and when you're ready to launch, go to squarespace.com/watchjrgo for 10% off your first purchase of a website or domain. Huge thank you to Squarespace for sponsoring today's episode. Now let's get back to the Geo Metro. With the rear end apart, you can see just how far off this bent tie rod is, and it's an inch out, inch and a half? I'd say at least an inch and a half away from where it's supposed to go. So we're gonna straighten that back out, and that should fix some of the rear steer in this car. Wouldn't it be cool if it just had rear steering though? So much better. I pulled off that rear tie rod there, and Johnny grabbed the hydraulic press. I was gonna use the torch to straighten this, but he was like, dude, just get the press. And we straightened it out, and it is perfectly straight again. So now we checked it against this one, which is perfectly straight as well. And then we went ahead and installed it, or I went ahead and installed it there. And we haven't done the alignment on it yet. I went ahead and left that nut there a little bit loose for the eccentric. And once we get this thing all back together, I'm gonna do the tie rods first. We'll go ahead and realign the rear as well. So I've got the front wheels floating in the air there on the jack. And now we should have good access to our tie rod ends. So let's pop the wheels off. I'm kind of a fan of these stock tie rod ends because they have a hex all the way around the shaft, and the new ones just have a single square there. But anyway, this thing's basically removed, so here we go. Ooh, I thought that was gonna come right out. After about 20 more hits, it came loose. So now all we have to do is finish unscrewing this thing and swap out our tie rod ends, wipe all that grease off there, and we're home free. I've got new measurements for you guys. After a ton of work, the tie rod ends have been swapped. That back one has been fixed. And now with the wheel level, you can see the steer ahead reading there shows that the wheels are pointing forward. So the toe is incredibly close now. The spec is, it's well within spec, honestly. The thrust angle was 0.9 before, remember that? And now we're almost perfect in the rear end. We're still off by just a hair, and I think that hair is coming from just adjustments we couldn't get perfect on that rear rod. It was close. It was really, really close. But a lot of the car is in spec now. So let's see. It doesn't like the camber on the passenger side. Driver's side looks real good. And of course we have a little bit of steering, just a hair there in that rear. But that is so much better. It's right too, isn't it? I think I can see that wheel kicked out just the slightest hair. I forgot there's an eccentric bolt on the back, and I had left it loose so I could do a little bit more adjusting on that tow rod there. So we're gonna fix that real quick and see if we can pull in that little hair. So I'm gonna go back there and give it a little bit of a turn and see if we can just pull that wheel in. So it looks like the rod is in the back here. It needs to push the wheel that way, and that should get us close. So let's go do a little adjusting. After adjusting the rear and running through the toe all over again, look at this, Johnny.
What is that?
This is as good as an electric Geo Metro gets. That's what this is. You need one of these in your life?
No.
It's perfect for making it to the parts store and nowhere else. You can make it there and back. If you have to go any farther, it's a no-go.
It's pretty cool though.
Right?
It's old. What is it, 90s?
96.
Nice, nice.
Yeah, here, I'll get it down so you can check it out.
Oh.
Look pretty good to you?
Oh.
Took a lot of work.
Yeah, nice.
Thanks for pressing that thing back to flat.
No problem.
Yes, I did hang out at Johnny's all day. We got some other cars in there knocked out too. Got this thing done, and I am excited. It doesn't crab walk anymore. I mean, I couldn't really feel it. It had like the slightest pull, but the wheel is straight now too. You can see that it just tracks down the road. It was so far off before, and now it's much more reasonable to drive, I gotta say. And no more play in the wheel. Boy, does it need, it seems like it needs sway bars, but all the links look great. It's got rolled for days. Well, another item checked off the to-do list for the electric Geo Metro here. Huge shout out to Johnny at German Motor Works for letting me use his alignment lift and tie it up for a little bit while I went through every bit of this car, kind of over and over and over, because I set the toe and then I found out if you change the rear toe, you have to come back up to the front. So a few adjustments over and over and over, but eventually we kind of got this thing dialed in, and it seems like it drives straight down the road now. So I am very happy with those results. And I'll throw a link in the description below for the parts. It applies to your Geo Metro not just the electric Geo Metro, I promise. That is it for today, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to head on over to shop.watchjergo.com for cool shirts like the one I'm wearing underneath here. And please like, share, subscribe, do whatever you want to do. And I will talk to you next time. Hey, here's something I know you guys are going to be excited about. The brand new window cranks are here. And unfortunately, the Solectria is locked. So let's hop in here and install that nice new crank that doesn't have any of this terrible sun fading on it. So this should just fall right off. It was just chilling on there. And what's really funny is one of these has a brass insert for the spline drive, and the other one's plastic. And the factory ones, of course, they were plastic too. Almost had this thing totally put together without its trim ring there, so try not to forget that if you're doing this job. I'm clocking that forward. That's about where the factory had it. There we go. Check it out. Fixed windows. Well, you don't need any door clip removal tool. This one came off, no problem at all, with just a pocket screwdriver and one more to open the gap up a little bit. So now I should be good to go. We're ready to install or drop the passenger side one. So now let's get that to where it seats. Passenger side's on and fixed too. And she's back on the charger. Well, the garage is done with us for the day. But she's back on the charger and the Jag is coming in here next.